Hi guys, this is my second video. I hope you like the first one. When I was thinking of ideas of what to do videos on, I thought about it and I thought, yeah, you don't really get told this. And if you're looking into going to counselling, I think it's massive to kind of know what to look for. So, what to look for when you're going to pick a counsellor or going into counselling, psychotherapy, whatever you want to call it. So I suppose what I can start with is what's the difference between counselling and psychotherapy. Counselling is classed as short term, so say under 12 sessions or 12 weeks, and psychotherapy is classed as longer term therapy. I wouldn't worry too much if your therapist says they're a counsellor or a psychotherapist, because I call myself both as well. You tend to get trained to deal with long term and short term, but that is a question you can ask. Obviously, if what you're going to therapy for would be maybe a year thing, I'd suggest maybe kind of saying, have you worked with people long term? So things to look out for. So obviously you've gone onto most probably Google and Googled counsellor, psychotherapist, therapist within your location. There's counselling directory, which has a list of people, or if you put it in on Google, it'll tend to come up with your location on Google Maps and people that are around if the therapists have got onto that. When you've found a counsellor, therapist, psychotherapist, I'll keep saying it, when you've found someone, I'd suggest looking at different people. Don't go with the person that's closest to you, don't go with the person that's cheapest, kind of do a comparison between different people. So things I would look out for. So if they've got it on their website, if not, ask them, because you have a right to ask, because this is completely about you. So it is quite unnerving, even if you went to a dentist and said, oh, can I see, your qualification? You expect people to be doing this to have a qualification. But the sad, awful truth is counsellors do not have to have a qualification. There is no law in the UK that says you have to have this qualification to work. So 100% you have the right to say, are you qualified? With counselling, they can have certificates, they can have diplomas, they can have degrees. There's a whole range of things, and like I said, because there isn't a law, there isn't a minimum standard, so it goes certificate, diploma, degrees. So it's all important, it just depends what level you want it to. And always remember, and I think this is my massive thing, is just because they have 20 qualifications doesn't mean they're actually any good. So I'll be real, I've seen someone before that's had, a wealth of qualifications, but I didn't actually like them as a person, as a human being. I didn't feel they cared, I didn't think they heard me. So technically on paper, great, but in real life, it meant nothing. So qualifications, big point. Point 2 is experience. So they may not have the best qualifications, but they have 30 years of experience. And with that, hopefully, again, you hope that they have that kind of understanding of people because they've kept working for that long. It doesn't mean to just take away from people that have only got a year's experience, because everyone has to start somewhere, and that person with the 1 year could be 10 times more empathetic than the person that's doing it for 30 years. But it's something to bear in mind. If you feel more comfortable with someone that's had many more years experience, then head towards that. The third point is memberships. So checking that they are a member of an ethical framework. So that basically just means that they have ethical standards, and if something was to go wrong, they have someone to go to, and you have someone to go to as well. So it's kind of like an insurance. So BACP, which is the British Association for Counselling and Psychotherapy, is one of the biggest ones. There are other ones as well, so just asking if they've got that. Like I said, there's no law with qualifications, but if they're employed by someone, it tends to be, again, they would have to be a part of that. So if they're self-employed, you have a right to ask. Next one is insurance. So they should have insurance to cover themselves. So it's not something you ask, but it's something that you kind of look to hope that they've kind of written about themselves in their descriptions. The next one is approach. So I'm going to do a different video on what different approaches are. So the approach is what we call is how we work with someone. So there's hundreds, but there's the three that I'm qualified in. There's person-centered, attachment theory, and cognitive behavioural therapy. So they tend to be the ones you'll hear about the most. People either be specifically trained in one of them or all of them, and then they'll be called integrative. But you want to know which that is, and when I do the next video, I'll do it on what them differences are. So you need to, from your point of view, what do you feel most comfortable with? Do you want to do loads of hardcore behavioural changes in a short amount of time, or do you want to have kind of more focused about you and more talking and just more longer pace, I suppose? So there are differences, and for you to figure out what you want. Don't go to what they're telling you to do. You know, they'll guide you and suggest maybe this is a bit more what we need, but kind of thing, don't want the short term or long term. So that's definitely something that comes from the approach. Gut feeling is massive, I think, for all this. When you go on a person's website, get their card, see them in a brochure, leaflet, something like that, on anything, you'll get a gut feeling, and I think that's massive. I've always worked by that with anything. You can, like I said, you can see they've got wealth of experience, they've had loads of testimonials of great feedback, but if you think, I'm not sure, then don't do it. So 100% please always go with your gut feeling with this, because it's massive and it's all about you, and if you're not feeling comfortable from the offset, then it won't work anyway. So other kind of logistics or times of sessions, so they tend to be 50 minutes, but people can do 60 minutes, 55 minutes, 90 minutes I saw the other day. So depending how long you feel you want, with that will come price. What can you afford? So if, you know, you can really only afford 6 sessions, but you maybe need 20, then maybe it's something you need to discuss with them or think about or look at with the times and the prices and think, can I do this at the minute? Because you don't want to run out of funds to carry on and then break up if you're completely committed to it, because it might throw you off. So be, again, with the approach with that, would you prefer 6 sessions hardcore or a longer period? So take that into consideration. If they're in an area, so if they're working from home, if they're working from an office, if they're working in a company, what kind of situation do you want to be in? So a simple thing like walk into a building that people around you will know is counselling, how do you feel about walking into that building? Do you feel people are looking at you? Do you feel people know that you're going there? Or would you prefer to go to someone's home? Do you feel safe in someone's home? It's, again, how you feel, and it's always about your gut feeling of, yeah, I'm happy to go there. With that becomes age and gender. So age, would you feel comfortable seeing me if you're 30 years older than me? Probably not. Maybe not, I should say. Some people do. Some people prefer to be in the opposite spectrum. Some people prefer to be the people the same age. I've had people that say to me, you're the same age as me, so I feel I will see you in town, you know, which wouldn't happen, but it's, if you feel that way, that's how you feel, and that's completely taken on board, and I respect that. So you'll probably see from a picture, obviously kind of gauge what age they are and how you feel about that. Gender, how do you feel about seeing a male? How do you feel about seeing a female? You've got to gauge that, and there's no right, no wrong. There tends to be more female counsellors. Everyone gets trained the same. The main thing about counselling, I feel, is the person, and you will get that gut feeling from that person, never mind what they've done in their training and their years and their gender and their age. You'll just know. Warning signs. So things to look out for. With everything I've said, like qualifications, so if they don't have a qualification, no go. If they don't have maybe any experience, maybe if you need something quite specific, maybe hold off for a little bit until they've got some more experience, go with someone else. But the biggest warning signs for me are touching. So I've heard horror stories, and you will probably hear horror stories of where counsellors have took advantage of clients because of the vulnerability that, in the vulnerable situation you can be in. So when you go to counselling, it's normally to have some help, it's normally to, get something to help. So there's a degree of vulnerability, and that's not a bad thing. Everyone goes through it. But like I said, there are no laws with this work. So people can and do go into this for the wrong reasons. So with that, seeing warning signs of what tends to come up is touching. So as a counsellor, you tend to get trained not to touch clients. With some people say do not hug them, do not shake hands, don't hold hands, don't do anything like that. For me personally, it's very, very drilled into your head, do not do it, to protect yourself, to protect the client, because you don't know how the other person in that room is feeling. But there are certain occasions where you know that it's the right thing to do. So I have had clients hug me before to say goodbye, and as long as I'm comfortable and as long as they're comfortable and it's a mutual respect of this is a thank you, then that's okay. But when you get to the point where the counsellor is doing stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable and they're leading it, then that's not right. So when it's not right, you will know, and you've got to listen to that. You've got to listen to that gut feeling of this is working, this isn't, I'm happy, I'm not, I feel safe, I'm scared. So listen to that, and then you'll know, and hopefully you won't go wrong. Okay, so I hope that's been of some help. Like I said, I will do a video on approaches, and hopefully that can help, and I'll also do a video on what to expect in a first session. Alright, see you next time. Bye.